Hey guys, Anthony, 4x4 Diesel. This one is going to be called, it was probably called something like don't smash this or something to get your attention, because it's really important information that I get your attention. So even if I've put up an average name or an average thumbnail or whatever, just try and make sure it gets your attention anyway and you have a bit of a listen, because sometimes like this, it's really important information that this is something that's quite rare. It's probably not going to happen to you, but it could, and it's going to give you big headaches if it does, and it's easily avoidable. So we're going to talk about a couple of different products that were either help prevent this situation or designed to help prevent it. I may have mentioned in other videos, and that's to do with the transfer case here, right? So this is your transfer case, and that's the lower section of it. We've done sort of measurements in other videos, so this time we're not going to do it. On the Hilux, for example, at this point right in the middle here, the transfer case is the lowest. The side steps are the lowest point on the Hilux. So they're the things that get hit and get bent first. But after the side steps, the next thing that gets a scraping is this. Now on the Hiluxes, quite often we see these metal guards. They're sort of pushed in and wrapped around the alloy, and so they have taken hits and bumps and rubs and all sorts of things. Never seen one of those broken. I'm sure it's happened, but we haven't seen one. So the odds are pretty good that you can give this a fair scuff up and you're not going to have any issues. Now on, say for example, the 120 Prados, generally they don't get touched. If you're driving right, that doesn't get touched. Now on the 150 Prados, when they come out with traction control and more buttons and stuff like that, they've got this plastic actuator or motor on the back that's the motor, if you like, to keep it simple terms, that activates it's like your lever that goes, low range, high range, diff lock, all that sort of stuff, right? Now it's up a little bit. If you put a line between the fuel tank and the other lowest areas, we've measured before, it's about 3 inches, 70 mil or something like that out of the way, right? So depends how you're driving. If you're out on rough tracks and you're putting a big rock up in the middle of the vehicle here, you're going to get hung up. You're going to do damage anyway. So you need to do driving lessons or go with someone that can teach you how you need a bit of wheel placement, avoiding where to put the holes in the rocks and stuff like that. But what I'm suggesting is, there was a guard that came out many, many years ago, and as soon as I saw it, personally I didn't like it. I'm not going to name it. If people want to sell them, that's good. If they still think it's okay, that's good. If they've got one and they want to leave it on there, that's up to them. But be aware, this small thin guard is bolted with 4 bolts to what's kind of like, die cast aluminium, not really that strong. Big thick aluminum here, but quite thin. It's only a couple mil thick around the edges. So if you were to say smack that really hard with a hammer right there, you'd probably crack that alloy there, right? And we're not going to do that. But if you were to hit a rock there, that'll just sort of bend, and that's what we've seen before. It bends in, it either comes in and hits the case, and it's pretty strong in general, with a buffer where it sort of hits that first and then absorbs some of it before it hits the next part. But if you've got a, say, 3 or 4 mil thick plate here, and if it was to extend back here like this to about there to cover to protect that, in theory that would sound like a good idea, especially if it looked really good, solid quality engineering, right? Because, oh yeah, that's going to protect that. I need that because that happened to one person in the world, so I need one of those. Well, no, maybe they had, either they need to learn how to drive, and I'm not saying that. It could be that, or it could be they just had really bad luck, okay? And if you're going to have really bad luck once, there's nothing you're going to do to help prevent that, because it's going to be something else, like a stick coming along, going bang, getting jammed in there and staying there and going against the ground and you're just going through your plastic tank, right? Anything can happen. These things don't happen, but it can happen. So there was a guard, and it was nice and strong, and guess what? It bolted onto those same 4 places, I believe, if I remember correctly. There might have been one added bolt somewhere up here on the side. Yeah, there's up on the side there's a couple of holes. It added a bit more up there, which was kind of the good part, but it didn't make this side here of this transfer casing mounting any stronger, and this is what cops most of it down here. By putting a strong section going out this way with nice fins on it, for whatever reason, so that it hits, I guess, because if you got rid of those, it'd give you a bit more clearance and might not even hit. In the couple of cases that it has that I know of, where it's broken the transfer case, right? So what I'm saying is be aware of what product you choose, and I'm not naming, because there could be copies, there could be other brands. I don't really care about brands and names and whatever. If it's causing a problem, 100% bad idea, I'm going to name it and tell you not to get one. I'm just giving you a general guide of what this could look like. It could be ARB, it could be TJM, it could be other brands, it's probably neither of those. I'm just saying, it could be anything. But if you just think it through, do you like a guard that's bolted to weak cast aluminium type thing that's really strong, that as soon as you hit it, it's given that leverage to just pop that, and that's what pops right there, because it gets hit here and the pressure goes there, and that one there is the one that usually pops. I've seen it more than once. Okay, so in my opinion, this is really important, because I'm saying avoid those guards. If you've got one, in my opinion, get rid of it. I'd rather you have the standard one and nothing. I'm not saying you need a transfer case guard here. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I haven't got anything to sell. I can tell you, Kaon, I got one. And if you want one, or you think you need one, if you think you go and do the most hardcore tracks, you need every bit of protection, then Kaon's the way to go, right? Now, obviously, they saw the problem and they come up with solutions. That's how they roll. And basically, to give you the brief, I don't know if it's all in the picture. I'm just having a sneak peek down here. I don't know if it's all in the picture, but basically, yeah, it fits the picture here, doesn't it? So the steel, I think it bolts up somewhere here or whatever. I don't know. I've got, it's one of those things. You have to have one in front of you to remember. But basically, bolts up here, goes across the whole chassis, across to here, and bolts up here. Right, and what it's got, so there's your strength bolted direct to the chassis. It's not going anywhere. That bar on its own going across there would probably do most of the job, but then they've got a bit of steel welded on forward, back and forward from there to protect all this area. So this is probably one of your biggest upgrades if you're a bodgy driver of a 150 Prado. Now, I'm not saying you need it. I'm not saying you don't need it, okay? Anyone can make a mistake and take a wrong turn and pick a wrong line and end up with a big boulder under here. I've had a bit of driving experience. I haven't had any of these sorts of issues of a rock even hitting this on any of my Prados, not even once, okay? So I reckon with the right key you can avoid that, and if you can avoid that, you can avoid that because it's further up again. Probably can't see it that well in the picture, but that's the nuts and bolts of this video. It's to hopefully save you the inconvenience of the transfer case. Now, I'll give you another little tip. I might even call this could save you $3,000, okay? Because a lot of people think if they hit that and break it, then they're up for $3,000, right? The problem is, you've got to understand here, that's an accident. It's accidental damage. If you hit a rock and you hit that and you bust it, so let's say you don't invest in protection, right? You've got your money for your excess. If Anthony says I should be right, okay? If you hit that and if you break it, yeah, it's $3,000, but it's insurance. Accidental damage, just like you crash your car into a letterbox or another car or a bloody set of lights or something, a power pole or a tree. Hopefully you're okay. Don't do that because trees are not very forgiving. What I'm saying is, though, you don't have to have one, okay? Save you a few $100 towards your excess for if it happens. If you're pretty sure that you'd rather just carry the extra weight, make that investment and avoid that, because knowing me, it's going to happen, buy yourself one of those Kaon cross-member transfer case guards you'll find on their website, kaon.com.au. This video is not sponsored by Kaon. I'm just telling you, it's a good company, good people, good products, and that is a solution to the problem if you're worried about it. If you had one, if you've got that there, in my opinion, get rid of it. Put one of the, the right ones up there. Guys, I hope that's been helpful. I hope that saved you some money, either the $3,000 in the repair that you could have got under insurance, or the few $100s for the guard, or the whole inconvenience by just not having one of those short ones there. Look, I'll be honest, the ARB one, it's just a small little grey thing, and it doesn't really extend out far from memory. It mainly just replaces that. Personally, I wouldn't even recommend that, okay? I'm not picking on ARB stuff. They've got some good stuff and that. There's things you need, things you don't, good things and maybe not so good, but generally pretty good. I'm not against ARB stuff, okay? There's some good ARB stuff, but changing this guard for something that doesn't add any further protection, and in my opinion, by being thicker, it can't cop the rock and bend in to absorb the blow. If it hits the right spot and it's solid, it's going to hit that and crack that, okay? So I just want to be really clear. I hope you understand. I could be wrong, I'm saying this is what I think and what it could be from what I've seen, and we're talking Prados, okay? Prados, Hiluxes, whatever. There's the information. If you got something out of it, thumbs up, bada bing like that. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe, turn that bell on so you don't miss that next important message. I'll be looking in their comments to see what you think. Tell me what you got there. You got stock standard, never had a touch. Have you got an aftermarket one, and what brand? I'll be interested to see what people have got. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. Another video coming soon. See ya.